This is an excerpt from Brittany Packnett called Time to Tune In. You can't be prejudiced, racist, sexist, or homophobic. After all, you belong to this faith. You don't carry pitchforks and march with the Charlottesville gang. You don't vote for Trump and you started the Women's March chapter in your city. You are a good person with good intentions. You love everyone and your tax returns prove it. But I challenge you, I charge you, if here is where you're tuned out, this is precisely and exactly the time to tune in. Do you love people of color, or do you tolerate us as long as we aren't too disruptive to your agenda? Do you love LGBTQ people, or do you only love the cis white male ones and forget the L, the B, the T, and the Q, especially the ones of color in your fight? Do you reflect the culture of your congregation in your leadership, or do you check boxes and fill quotas? You do not have to be white supremacist to benefit from white supremacy, any more than you have to be a misogynist to still benefit from the patriarchy, or a homophobe to still benefit from straight privilege. It is not enough just to not be a racist. We must expect ourselves to be actively anti-racist. It is not enough to not be sexist. We must expect ourselves to be intentionally and consistently disruptive of gender discrimination. It is not enough to not be a transphobic. We must expect ourselves to be obsessed with supporting the achievement of justice for trans people across the globe as we are with our own. Those are the words of a hero, a shero to me. For Brittany Packnett spoke at our General Assembly last year with these powerful words. That is just a quote, a short excerpt of the Ware lecture that she gave before a crowd of thousands of Unitarian Universalists in Kansas City, Missouri. Our UUA president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, introduced her as one of the prescient speakers to come to the Ware lecture, founded in 1922 at our General Assemblies, to share their insights and to challenge us. And President Frederick Gray went on to say, because insight without challenge satisfies curiosity, but it doesn't do much more than that. She goes on to say the Ware lecture has always been much more than an intellectual exercise, and it appears Ms. Packnett did not let anyone down. Brittany Packnett was honored by President Barack Obama as a leader whose voice is going to be making a difference for years to come. She is Vice President of the National Community Alliances for Teach for America, where she leads a team engaging in partnerships with communities and children of color. She was a member of the Ferguson Commission, and she was on the street for days and weeks after the shooting and murder of Michael Brown. Co-founder of Campaign Zero, a policy platform to end police violence, she also recently founded Love Plus Power, created to inspire, empower, and outfit everyday people. May I repeat, everyday people, to seismically shift society. That's what I call a shero. She is not sitting on the sidelines or just donating money online. She is out on the streets every day, working to change the systems that we live by every day, working to change those systems that keep our society frozen exactly the way it is. She is using every form of media that she can to get her message out there. In fact, she has a podcast that I'm just starting to follow called Pod Save the People. Her message to us is one that we have heard before. maybe have heard and it's stuck in our minds for a bit, moved us while listening, then we went about the business of our lives. I was not at General Assembly last year. It's online if you wish to watch it. But I'm curious as to what those folks who did attend did after that lecture. What did they go out and do? And it's been 8 months since then. What have they done since then? The comfort of privilege is seductive, she said. It sneaks up on you, unrelenting in its mission to put you back to sleep. It's not our fault, we think. We've done all we can, or that feeling creeps up on us of, but what can one sole person do? The comfort of privilege is seductive. It's raining out. I don't want to go stand on the corner. I'll get wet. Or my favorite TV show is on tonight. I'll protest tomorrow. Do we do that? I know that there have been times where I have felt too tired to walk or stand on a corner or knock on doors, and I'll think, I'll do it tomorrow. But those folks in this country without privilege don't get to wait until tomorrow. They don't have that luxury. They are being shot or killed or imprisoned or bullied or derided on a daily basis. And while these systems are in place that oppress them, they have no choice but to wait. We, on the other hand, have choices. This country has been set up this way. Ms. Packnett spoke about moderates in her lecture and gave various examples of reasons why someone wouldn't protest. It's not that bad, maybe. Or you misunderstood what I said, maybe. And I quote her response. The very moderates they derided, they became one day later. Supremacy is so normative that you may not even know you are living to perpetuate it. And let us remember that the moderate is not always white, cis, or male. The more you benefit from supremacy, she says, the more responsible you have to be to dismantle it. May I repeat? The more you benefit from supremacy, she says, the more responsible you have to be to dismantle it. Her words are resonating with me. There is no lack of ways we have to dismantle white supremacy. It affects and permeates our lives every day, every hour, with the systems that are in place to keep the privilege with the privileged. Toni Morrison is quoted as saying, "The function of freedom is to free someone else." Because we have that privilege, we have a responsibility to use it so that everyone can one day have the same privilege we have. So where are our heroes? Up above on this slide is a group of heroes that I used to watch religiously every week. The cheerleader discovered one day that she had tremendous power. She could fall from the highest building and break every bone in her body, and she would heal within minutes. That was her superpower. A congressman discovered he could fly and had to keep that secret for fear others would fear him for this superpower. A Japanese office worker found out how to manipulate space and time and could appear in an instant on any day, on any continent, in any era he wished. When they discovered they had these powers, they began to use them for good and to try to destroy all the evil in the world without letting mere mortals know of their powers. And of course, many more complicated plots arose. I mean, they did have 4 seasons of episodes to complete and adoring fans to satisfy. But it was so wonderful each week to watch people who looked like you and me do incredible things without letting the rest of the world know about it. Most of America could picture themselves as being one of these superheroes. A police officer could read minds. An Englishman had the power to regenerate. How amazing would that be? And they did it all for good. I'm sure I'm not the only person that watched these shows imagining what good I could do in the world if I had any one of these superpowers. So where are our heroes and sheroes of today? They are right here. Look to your left. No, really, look to your left. Now, look to your right. All of you are heroes and sheroes. You just haven't discovered your superpower yet if you don't believe that you aren't. Stephen Hawking has said, "Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious. And however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you just don't give up." So see, you all are heroes. What we must overcome is our expectations of what will happen and how we see others and they see us. Brittany Packnett spoke of expectancy, how we have expectations of ourselves and others. I know that as your minister, you expect me to be a certain way. I'm not allowed to curse anymore, or be angry, or yell, because ministers aren't supposed to do that. When I took on this role, I realized for the rest of my life, people will see me in a certain way, and I will have to satisfy those expectations to a certain degree. I understood that before I took this on, and it became okay with me. Sometimes it's harder than other times to keep up the impressions that I'm required to keep. But what I promised myself was that I would still be myself. I can be a minister and still be me. But what about the person of color? What about the LGBTQ persons? What about people with disabilities? What expectations are put on them every day, every hour, that they are expected to fulfill? Brittany Packnett gives a wonderful example of her expectations of us white, cisgendered, able-bodied people, and how we can be a part of dismantling this white supremacy system. She says, "At work, you ask your manager every day, every week, every quarter, exactly what they expect of you, and then you break your back to meet or exceed those very expectations in exchange for a paycheck. Why not ask your community every day, every week, every quarter, exactly what they expect of you, and use everything you've got to meet or exceed those very expectations in exchange for justice?" This is our work, and I promise you it pays the very best dividends. Ask yourself today, did I just uphold supremacy, or did I do my part in its destruction? She has offered us a challenge, one that is not easy, one that is not simple. I also offer you this challenge. So much of what we do is sporadic, done as a convenience, not sacrificial at all for our fellow human beings. There is hard work to be done out there. I challenge you, when are you going to decide to begin? It will take courage. It will take stepping out of your comfort zone big time. I encourage this congregation to begin doing this deep work that is required of you if you truly wish to live your principles in a way that will aid in the process of dismantling these white supremacy systems. We have to think of new ways of being. If we want universal health care for all, we can't have it in the capitalistic system we now hold. If we truly want equality for all, we can't have it when our prison system unfairly locks up people of color at a ferocious rate. We have to change these systems, and it has to come from the ground up. Our leaders are not going to change that. It's working too well for them. Remember, the comfort of privilege is seductive. It sneaks up on you, unrelenting in its mission to put you back to sleep. We have to wake up and stay awake. We have to be vigilant, not just 1 month every year. Vigilant. The definition of which is keeping careful watch for possible danger or difficulties. Vigilance is constant. If we can keep vigilance as much as we can, it will be more than what we are doing now. We are not perfect, and human beings only have so much stamina. I realize that. But if we aim for the stars, we won't be looking at our feet. There is much we can do. As a congregation, we can partake in beloved conversations, a first step to achieving that beloved community that Dr. King spoke of. We can remind each other every week to do something for justice. We all have our pet projects, those areas in life that mean much more to us, and we can create justice within those spheres of interest. If we are doing our part for justice, we are not upholding supremacy. I just read Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, and in it she quotes her husband, who said, "You may live in the world as it is, but you can still work to create the world as it should be." Stay awake. Look up at the stars. Be your own hero and shiro. Help to create the world as it should be. May it be so. Blessed be.